So, welcome again. We are in continuation with the development experience of India, a comparison with neighbors. That's what we are doing. So, we finished with Pakistan, our strategy, how we went about our strategy, Indian strategy, and how Pakistan, what was Pakistan's strategy. And in this, we are going to talk about China's development strategy. So in this, we are going to talk about GLF. We are going to talk about that is a great leap forward. We are going to talk about the commune system, and of course, we will talk about the great proletarian, the proletarian revolution, cultural revolution. Also, we're going to talk about. So all that, all of that. Just look through this. So in this, as we said that we're going to talk about. The development strategy of China. So, People's Republic of China came into existence in 1945 under one party rule. So, after this, all the sectors of the economy, including various enterprises and all lands owned and operated by individuals, were brought under government control. So here we talk about the great leap forward. It was a program that was started in 1958. Basically, it aimed at countries' industrialization on a large scale. People were encouraged to set up industries even in their backyards. This was for industrialization. Now, regards agriculture, China resorted to commune system of production. Now, what is this? Under this system, people cultivated lands collectively. So there were about 26,000 communes covered. There were about 26,000 communes, and these communes covered almost the entire farm population in 1958. So, talking about some problems that the GLF, the Great Leap Forward, faced. One is in the earlier phase, there was a severe drought that happened in China and it killed about 30 million people. And another very important development was that there was a border dispute with Russia. And because of that, Russia withdrew its professionals from China who had been sent there to help in the industrialization process. So that also was a setback. So so those were the problems, and let's just talk about the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution. In 1966, Mao Zedong, a great leader of China, he started a cultural revolution. The aim of this revolution was to weed out people opposed to communist ideology. And students and professionals were sent to work and learn from the countryside. Of course, in today's date, China has officially condemned that revolution which rocked the country during 1966 to 1976. Now, talking about economic reforms. In 1978, China introduced reforms in phases like India and Pakistan. China did not have any compulsion to introduce reforms. So that was a good thing. Economic reforms were introduced because the new leadership at that time was not happy with the slow growth rate and lack of modernization. So in the initial phase, reforms were introduced in the field of agriculture, foreign trade, and investment sector. So that was the initial phase. So initially, the reforms were in the field of agriculture. So commune lands were divided into small plots which were allotted to individual households for cultivation. Well, and this did not mean that they were given ownership rights over these plots. Only thing was that the cultivators were permitted to keep all farm income after paying taxes to the government. And after that, reforms were introduced in the industrial sector. Private firms and local cooperatives were allowed to set up manufacturing units. So we have what is known as, in India, what we call the public sector undertakings, that is PSUs. They are known as SOEs, that is state-owned enterprises, were made to face competition from newly established private sector firms. So you see the difference there. So they were stringent even with the state-owned enterprises. They didn't let them go scot-free. And another thing was a dual pricing system was also introduced. Now, under this system, what happened? The farmers and industrial units were required to buy and sell fixed quantities of inputs and outputs on the basis of prices fixed by the government. One part was that, and the rest, and with the rest of it, they could buy and sell at market price. So over the years, the proportion of inputs or outputs transacted in the market increased as a result of increase in production. So this was very interesting, the dual pricing system. So how it went, they had one part all had to go about was that they had to sell so much fixed by the government, and the other was like based on the market. And then they also had the special economic zones. These were set up to attract foreign investors. So this is what it is. So based on this, we can talk about similarities and dissimilarities. So we'll do that in the next class.